Node.js authentication system app. This is that we have. It uses JWT token and OAuth 2.0 Google Authentication to authenticate user. We have this folder structure. We have this node model which comes from the npm express install, and then we have this src folder which has some substructure subfolder. Let's go to the features where we have two features: user and OTP. User has a schema where the user will hold email, password, Google ID, and access token. This is we are using Mongoose database to have it. Then on top of the schema, we are having repository where we are importing the schema, and then we are having some functions like user registration where we are saving the data, user data which will be getting from the form, and then we are also having a function to login. In login, what we do is we compare the password that we get from the form and the password stored in our database, which is going to be hashed using bcrypt. We check if the password are same, then we return true, otherwise we return false. We also have a function to update the password where we get the new password, we hash it using bcrypt again, and then we update it in our database. We send it to response. On top of it, we'll have a controller function which will take help of all the function in the repository function. So this will again have a user registration where we take the data from the form and then we hash it and then we send it to our repository function which stores it into the database. Upon successful registration, it redirects us to the login page. On failure, it again asks us to register again. User login. In the user login, we get the data from the form. We have the password. We check if the password matches, the credential matches or not. If the credential matches from our repository function, then what we do is we sign it in a token. We have a payload where we store email ID and the ID of the user in a JWT token. This token is going to be signed using a secret key that we have stored in .env file, and it will expire after 1 hour. So during 1 hour, we'll not have to log in again and again, but the browser would know and store our data in the cookie in JWT token, and through each request that we send to a secured page, let's say a page where the user can only access, this JWT token will be checked if it has or not, and this will be done using our middleware JWT auth file that we have stored in middleware. So we use JSON Web Token. What it does is each authentication request comes, what we do, we check for request.cookies, which then verify that cookie, that token using the secret key that we have in env. Then we again extract the payload from there, the email ID we are extracting in this case, and then once the validate, if there is no error, in that case what we do is we pass the control to the next middleware. So this is going to act like a middleware. So if we go to the index.js where everything is there, on top we have .env.config. Why? Because it should be on top. This is the environment variable if we want to access it, and it has to be on top. Then we have all the necessary imports over here, and here if you can see we have this where we'll also need this cookie parser. If we don't have it, we'll not be able to use cookies. To use the form data, we'll need the express.url encoded, otherwise we'll not be able to read the request.body. That will be undefined. Then if you see, these are the routes that we are using. Okay, so let's go to the user route. So for user, we have the routes over here. You see one of the route over here, home page has auth over here. So this is a middleware auth, which is coming from the middleware's authentication. Before we reach the home page, this middleware has to be passed on. Then only the control has to go. If this is invalid, then we are not supposed to go into the home page, which is a secure page. This all comes from the authentication middleware. Okay. Then we have this OTP generation where we can reset the password using this. OTP would have email ID, OTP, and the time it was created. After 5 minutes, it is supposed to expire. OTP has certain functions like verify OTP, which takes the email ID provided and checks for that email ID, which is the latest OTP. If that latest OTP matches, then it's true. Otherwise, it's false. If it doesn't match, it's a false. Then we have some controller function built on it, like sends the verification mail. The OTP mail is sent using this, where we are using the node mailer for this very simple function, node mailer send email. Then we have this. What else we have over here? We have second. So then we have verify OTP, where the OTP is verified. So to verify the OTP, we check if the OTP is verified, then we send a success response. Otherwise, not. Only if the OTP is verified, then only we update the password, and otherwise we do not update the password. This is the user OTP verification form that we send it to. These are the pages that we serve over here. Send OTP function does nothing but it sends the email to the OTP function. This is the library that we use from Node.js. The library is called OTP generator that we are using over here. Okay, so this is pretty much it, and the one more thing that we have over here is the config file, which has passport.js. Now we have to use Google OAuth2.0. For that we use passport.js provided by this, which is a very popular Node.js library. The configuration strategy and entire documentation can be found over here. How to log in, how to set up how to get your credentials from the Google Cloud. Everything is written over here, which you can see how things work. It's all well documented here. So we have simply tried to get those things over here. So this is the Google passport config function that we have created. It has we have this Google strategy where we pass the client ID and the client secret. This is stored in our .env file, and we have got it from Google Cloud by configuring it. Then this is the callback URL. Once the response is successful, the Google would redirect us here. So this has to be carefully chosen, and you have to mention it in Google Cloud also, this callback function, this callback URL. Then we have this access token that the Google provides, and the profile that is important to us. The profile would have few things like the ID, Google ID would be there. Now what we do is we check for that ID. If that user is present, then if the user is present, if not present, then what we do is we store that user in a database. These are the things that we store along with it, and then we save it. Okay. Otherwise we pass the callback function to the next. The error is null, and we send the user. If there is an error, we send that error, and there is no user. This is the serializer and deserializer function that it has. Serializer basically is the function which safeguards our token, the data that we store in our session, the passport session, and deserializes extracts that safe data that we have. Let's go to the .index file. Here also what we are doing is we are using the JWT token. We are sending the Google, whenever this route is getting clicked, we are sending this authentication with a scope, what all privileges that we have, profile and email access that we need. After getting the callback response over here, we are trying to authenticate it. Once authenticated, we are signing again the JWT token. We are storing everything in JWT token so that the session stays there. This is how the app looks. So let's try to register first. So let me write my email ID and then choose a password. So upon successful registration will be landed over here where we can log in. Okay, so just for the purpose of showing, I'll enter an incorrect password. It will give me a message. Let's enter the correct one and again log in. So once logged in, I will be into the home page, which is a secure page. Now even if I go back and try to come back again to that page, I'll be able to come because my information is stored in the cookie, my session is stored in the cookie. I can log out or reset the password also. There are two options. So let's try resetting it, sending, okay, entering my email ID. This will send an OTP. So a message has come, OTP has been sent. So let's try seeing it. Let's copy this password, paste it in the new pass. Logging in with new password. So logged in, I can log out. Same I can try with Google. I'll choose this.